So we got one today that I think a few people need to pay attention to. Am I the asshole if I tell my friend who is pursuing music that she can't sing? How many people out there have a friend that's pursuing a music career and they're just not that good? I'm sure I'm not the only one who has friends like this. Me, 23-year-old female, has a friend, 23-year-old female, so they both the same age, who I've known since freshman year of high school, is currently pursuing music in LA. Of course they're in LA. Everybody wants to come to LA. This is where it's at. She is an incredible writer and went to a great private liberal arts school in California for writing. So many of us thought she would pursue a songwriting career as opposed to singing. I would make that same assumption too. She has released 3 songs and has an album on the way, and they are just bad. And she even put the 3 dots in there to emphasize that dramatic pause. They're just bad. I love this. She's got a horrible timbre. The fact that she wrote timbre in there lets me know that she probably has some insight into some type of music accreditation. Like I got to give her some kind of credit. She actually said timbre. That's key here. It's flat and whiny with weird modulation in the pitch. She's even worse live. So you mean to tell me she sounds like this in the studio and then live it's worse? That lets me know her voice probably is really bad. And this seems to happen with a lot of songwriters. You'll see a songwriter that writes really dope stuff, but when it comes to performing it themselves, it don't hit the same. All of her LA friends are gassing her up, telling her she's amazing and supporting her, but I wonder to what extent it will hurt her in the future when someone in the industry finally says those words, "You can't sing." We see this all the time in platforms like American Idol, America's Got Talent, any talent show that's publicized. We see this all the time where there's someone who is extremely delusional that gets on stage, sings their little heart out. It's bad. Everybody in the crowd is probably booing or just really silent. And then as the response, the contestant is like, well, I'm gonna make it, you're gonna see. But the industry, as well as the people, are telling you, you're just not that good. I wanna support her and her future, but it's tough to watch her actively and ambitiously pursue something she's objectively bad at. That's always tough to watch. When you see a loved one pursuing a thing and you can just see this ain't working out for them, what do you do in that situation? I got an idea. Would it be better for a friend to say something, or should we all just wait it out? As a friend, you should say something. How you say that one thing is the key here. There's an update here. I typically don't read the updates because it gets away from the story so much, but I do want to read this one. Hey, yo, since I got you here, if you have a wild story, janky promoters, studio drama, anything that made you question who was the real problem, I want to hear about it. I'm building this Am I the Asshole music story series off of real stories from people like you. The link is in the description. It's anonymous and it's safe. I don't need your name. I just need the truth. And while you're here, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the page so you don't miss the next one. All right, let's get back to the chaos. Thank you to everyone for a lot of constructive criticism and for calling me in, though some of you definitely called me out. I appreciate the reminder that art is never objective and that singing is a skill that can be worked on. I'm going to continue to support my friend's career and keep my mouth shut. Here's why I object to that one. This girl has a friend who is objectively bad at singing. Now, we all know art is subjective. What is good for you might not be good for somebody else's ears. So let's just take the objective route and just keep everything eye level. If you have a friend that is objectively bad at singing, should you say something? First off, I don't think this girl is an asshole because according to the story, she hasn't said anything. But I will say she's the asshole for not saying something. You're only an asshole if you keep your mouth shut. And to that update, I feel like a lot of people are too sensitive to take real criticism. And I'm gonna say this person can give real criticism because she said the timbre is off. If she just said she sounded flat, anybody could say that, but you said the timbre, which means there's a certain tone in her voice that isn't pleasing. So that means she could have followed up by saying, your timbre is off. What if you tried sounding like this? See, that turns a negative comment into a constructive criticism point. And I'll say this on a personal note. Anytime somebody asks me for my advice, i.e., what do you think of this track? I preface it by saying, do you really want to know what I think? Or do you want me to just tell you it's good or not? Because asking me what I think means I'm going to tell you what I hear that's good, and then I'm going to tell you what I hear that's bad, followed up with, here's how you can improve that piece. And I think a lot of people are missing that critical point. If you have a friend who is doing music and you feel like something in there just isn't right, before you give a response, try to dissect what it is that's off, and then try to implement ways that can improve this person's craft, how they can improve moving forward. That way they know it's coming from a place of love. Now, on the other side of that, if you are the person that is getting criticized, the person who gets the negative comments, please, for the love of God, consider the source. Is this coming from somebody who has watched you do what you do, who has championed you the entire time, has seen your growth, and only wants you to improve? I would step out to say that most friends aren't haters. Most friends want to see their friends succeed, but they only want to see you succeed when it's good, not succeed when it's bad. Because when you get in front of the real audience, like she said in the story, when you get in front of the industry and you get in front of some people who don't know who you are, they're not going to give you any type of criticism. They're not going to give you the real critique. All they going to do is tell you it's bad and get off the stage. And it sounds like her LA friends, her little collective of people, while it is important to have people that cheerlead for you, it's also just as important for those same people to tell you where you're wrong at. If all you got is a crowd full of yes men and yes women, you bound to fail, because not everybody's going to champion you, and not everybody got your back like that. And they'll let you know in the comments. For sure, for sure. But that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is Shorty an asshole for keeping her mouth shut? I think she's an asshole for keeping her mouth shut. Or is she not the asshole for not saying anything? And let's go beyond that. If you have a friend that is listening to your song, would you want them to give you the honest truth? Or do you want them to just tell you, yeah, this is good? I mean, that's a real question. Anyway, that's what I think. Tell me what you think in the comments. Hey, hold up. Before you go, if you enjoyed this Am I the Asshole story, please make sure you click the playlist on the screen. The rest of the stories go just as hard, and some of them a little bit harder than this one. I'm trying to give you these stories weekly and possibly faster, but I need y'all to keep watching. So click the playlist on the screen and stay tapped in. And hey, if you have a wild music story, don't hold back. Go ahead and click the link in the description and submit your Am I the Asshole moment. It could be your story I break down next. Tap in with me. You know I tap back. Peace.
Everything meticulous.